to welcome to MPC's annual Fundraising 101 night. This is something we host every year, sometimes twice a year, I think. But this year it's obviously a little bit different than normal. So before we begin, I just wanted to kind of get a few housekeeping items out of the way. So there'll be a couple of opportunities for you guys to ask questions throughout the presentation. If you have a question and you don't really have an opportunity to unmute yourself and ask, you're also welcome to use the raise your hand feature or write any questions you have in the chat, and we'll address those as the presentation goes on. And then we are recording this, so if you have to leave early or you want someone else in your organization or another organization to be able to see some of this information that we're talking about today, then we'll be posting this video sometime next week at weareminds.edu/MPC. And I can put that link in the chat as well if you guys want to see that. And then at the end of the session, we're going to have a couple of different breakout rooms. If you have specific questions about some of the different topics we're covering. So throughout the presentation, just kind of keep in mind, start thinking about what you might want to ask questions about specifically. So we'll have one on Philanthropy Tank, another on goldmine and crowdfunding in general, and then also engaging with companies and local businesses for sponsorships or other fundraising needs. Do any of you guys have questions to start us off? Well, in that case, I guess we can start by introducing ourselves. So my name's Gabby, and I'm a junior in mechanical engineering. I served for MPC, Minds Philanthropy Council, for about 2 years now. First, I was employed at the foundation as the foundation liaison, and then now I'm the vice president of events for the club. And so I'm really glad that you guys could all join us. And I think I'm gonna turn it over to Allie, and she's gonna tell you a little bit about her role at the foundation.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Gabby. I appreciate that introduction. Hi, everyone. I'm Allie Dugdale. I'm the Director of Annual Giving here at the Minds Foundation. In that role, I oversee a bunch of programs, all fundraising programs, but my signature programs are Goldmine crowdfunding and I Dig Minds Giving Day. And currently I'm also overseeing as co-advisor the Minds Philanthropy Council, so I get to work with Gabby and Ryan. Yeah, so just throughout the night, you know, keep in mind a lot of this is going to be kind of 10,000-foot view. We will have those opportunities for breakout sessions, but you are more than welcome to reach out to me directly if you ever have questions about what we're going to go over. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to our corporate team, Amy, to introduce themselves.
Well, hello, everyone. Thank you for having us. We're very excited, and we always love this event because we get to talk to you, the students, and to talk about what we love to do, which is corporate and foundation relations. And the rest of the team will introduce themselves, but part of, not only do we work with corporate and foundations, but we're also part of the Office of Industry Relations. And what that is a one-stop shop for companies to come to campus and plug into or connect to someone. They can get them connected to students, to faculty, to research, to whatever they want on campus. So we were helping with career fair yesterday, but we also help with research and things like that. So I'm excited to talk with you. Again, if, like Allie says, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. If you think of them afterwards, we're always here to help, and we love working with students. Thank you. I'll turn it over to Donnie now.
Hi, everyone. Donnie Boulanger. For those of you who haven't met me, I've been at the foundation for about 4 years. I work with Amy in the industry and foundation relations team. A lot of my role is behind the scenes and a lot of, I work with a lot of data, a lot of lists. I make sure the operations keep flowing. And so yeah, I also work with a lot of student groups. So if there's anything, if any of your student groups need to partner with us to contact companies, it's really helpful if you reach out to me, because I can help coordinate the whole relationship as it fits into overarching strategy. And I guess Sophia, I'll turn it over to you to introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Sophia. I work with Amy and Donnie. I'm the administrative and development assistant for their team. And this means I do a lot of logistical things related to gifts coming into the foundation and support of different initiatives, research, student groups on campus. But I also do a lot of writing. My job is very language and outward facing focused. So I love to help student groups with thinking about how to communicate with donors, how to write letters that will really grab a potential sponsor's attention. It's all part of the job, and I really enjoy it, and I'm really glad to be here.
So I wanted to give you guys a little bit of an overview of what we as Minds Philanthropy Council do, just because we're the host of this event and we run a lot of fundraising events as well. So our mission is to educate and promote a mind-centered culture of philanthropy on campus and serve as advocates for the university and the Minds Foundation. And so a lot of that involves promoting this idea of giving your time, your talent, and your treasure back to the community. And so some of the events that we host to help do this is Philanthropy Tank, and there's a picture of it in the upper left-hand corner of the screen, or right-hand corner of the screen here. And so that's an annual event that we host that that's funded by some of the big donors like the Wagners and the Harveys. And basically we invite all student organizations on campus to submit a proposal to try to win some money in order to fund projects that might otherwise not get funding. And so in the past, we've funded OSTEM, we've funded like cycling club, we've funded all sorts of different campus organizations. And not only that, but sometimes this event just draws attention to the administration. And so even clubs that haven't gotten funding from us, like the Veterans Alliance, I believe, got some help from the overall administration at Minds to complete their project. And so this year we'll be hosting that around homecoming week, actually. And so we'll be dispersing 10 grand to different clubs on campus. And so that's our big event. And then we also host Feed Minds to Feed Minds, which is an event that we host monthly, where we collect meal swipes from freshmen on campus, and that helps us provide food in the food pantry in the student center, as well as meal swipes to students who are in need, who have food insecurity. And that allows them in the past to use these meal swipes at Minds Market. And this year, we'll just be collecting meal swipes in exchange for additional resources to be added to the food pantry on campus. And then our last kind of signature event is Fundraising 101, which, as I said, is something we host once or twice a year. And that just informs people on campus about how they can get money, kind of get them in touch with the foundation and see how they can use this as a resource to help fund their organization in general or accomplish specific goals. And Ryan, do you have anything to add in terms of NPC?
Only that it's a really great club and you all should join.
I love that, Ryan. That's fantastic. Ryan, for anybody that doesn't know, is MPC's president. Soon to be on his way out the door, but
Yes,
yes.
this is my last semester. So.
Yeah, such a bummer for us, but good for you. But yeah, MPC is a great group. If you guys are interested in joining, the link is down there at the bottom, or you can reach out to any of us. We do some really great programming. Gabby, thank you for that overview. So just a little bit more information about the foundation, so that y'all kind of understand our role in all of this and how we can help you achieve your goals. So the Colorado School of Mines Foundation is a 501c3 nonprofit. We are exempt, tax exempt charitable organization that enables us to accept charitable contributions on behalf of the school. So anytime you're doing fundraising for your club or for your organization, mostly those donations come through us to be processed, and then we work with the school to disperse those funds. But our mission is to advance the university by raising and managing funds and fostering engagement. So we really are here to connect the dots and to strengthen relationships between you all, you know, the students, the faculty, the staff, and foster that relationship between our donors. And donors can include individuals, so alumni, parents, family members, but it can also be foundations and corporations. But yeah, we aim to connect the community members with the opportunities to support students and the programs and initiatives at Mines. Let's see, OreGivers, I always just like to mention this. So this is one of our little programs at Mines. Essentially, it means that we value the generosity and philanthropy of our community members in all that they do for Mines and through Mines. So that's time, talent, and treasure. So as Gabby mentioned, we're always looking at ways to recognize that time, talent, and treasure for Mines. And then we have a really big campaign coming up, the campaign for Mines at 150. You're probably wondering why I'm mentioning all of these things. Well, the campaign outlines some of the university's funding priorities in the coming years. Big ones are, you know, scholarship and additional research support. But some of the fundraising programs that we're going to talk about here in a little bit encourage you to better understand what the university's priorities are so that you can align your goals with the university's goals. So I encourage you to check out our website, weare.mines.edu, just to learn a little bit more about the campaign and what OreGivers is all about. So with that, we're going to dive deep into this programming for you tonight. Amy, I'm going to toss it over to you for all the fun stuff.
Oh yes, so fun. Yay, it's fundraising. So I love talking to people about fundraising and getting it normally, I think most people get really nervous about talking to people about money, right? And so what we hope to do with our part of this and just with the foundation as a whole is to take some of that fear away. Although I say that, and then when you see this slide that says fundraising equals dating, when I was in college, dating made me very nervous. So I hope that it doesn't make you too nervous, and that I can kind of dispel some of the ways that people get anxious about asking for money. So one of the things that we're also going to at some point, we'll either talk about it, I'll kind of give you a little bit of an overview while I'm doing the slides, but in our breakout session, we've put together a toolkit for you, and it's a toolkit that has some ideas on how you can fundraise out there, and it'll kind of refer back to some of the things that we're talking about during this in the slides. We also have some ideas to address what is not normal but normal now, this life with COVID, and how do you fundraise in that space. So we've provided you some templates that you can use as an email and some ideas for virtual fundraising. So when you look at the fundraising model that's on there, you see those 4 little dots. It says identification, cultivation, solicitation, and stewardship. So what I'd like to do is explain to you kind of how they mirror up with dating. Identification. So when you're out dating, you want to figure out who it is that you're interested in, right? And who are the people that are going to be your donors, and how do you know them? And so here's a list of just a few of the who do you know? Well, it's your parents, your family, your friends, local businesses, instructors, coaches. But in the toolkit, we also have this, I'm trying to think of what it's called. Let me look it up really quick. I think it's circle of influence or circle of connection. And it's a little exercise that you can do with your club. So like your name goes in the middle of it, and then you think of all of the different places that you connect and who you know and who you might be able to ask for money. So that's that identification piece of it. And then let's see, what else do we have on there? Who might be interested in giving to your cause? So companies with a similar mission, and then individuals who want to see you succeed. And a lot of that's going to be some of the alums, some of it's going to be your parents, some of it's going to be your family members, some of it's just friends outside of mine. So think about who wants to see you succeed. And then under cultivation, it's really just getting to know. The way that I like to compare cultivation and dating is you got to get to know them, right? Like, do you want to spend time hanging out with them? Or in this case, in fundraising, do they have an interest in giving to the cause that you have? So the reason why I always think dating and fundraising kind of go together is like, you would never walk up to somebody that you've just met once and ask them to marry you. Now, I know a few people that might have done that in college, but I don't think it worked out real well for them. Same thing in fundraising. You're not going to walk up to somebody that you just met, some new company, foundation, and ask them for money. So you've got to get to know them. And one of the ways you get to know them is just to share information. Or one of the things that I've told our student groups, or the other student groups that I worked with, is ask for advice. One of the best ways to get people interested in what you're doing is to ask a company or a person, hey, I noticed that you, for example, the greenhouse group, the greenhouse project they're doing it as a senior design. Let's get you connected to some of the CSA groups around Golden and get them connected and ask them questions. Do you have anybody that has a greenhouse? Ask them, what did they learn as they were building their greenhouse or putting their plan together? When you ask for advice, you usually end up getting people so excited they want to give you money. But if you ask people for money without engaging them, they're probably going to give you a lot of advice. So think about that cultivation piece, about how you can get to know them. So let me see, what else? Then comes the solicitation. Again, do your homework. Make sure you know who is out there is giving to your cause. IEEE, there are a lot of students that are in IEEE, and we have a lot of companies very interested in electrical engineering students. And so they want to support that club. But maybe the club that you or what you're raising money for also ties back into what they're interested in. Use the career services list of companies that's looking to hire our students to hire you, because they have a vested interest in wanting to engage with you, and they want to know who you are before you start looking for a job. And a great way to get to know you is through a project that they help fund. And getting them excited and getting them interested is a really great way to do that. So then, let me just grab my other notes from this, because I wrote a whole bunch of notes down. Hold on. Oh, another thing for another person to kind of help you identify who some of your donors are or some of the companies are your faculty or your faculty advisors. They also have great connections in the community, and sometimes they want to get right in front of you students, and they'll help you make that connection as well. So under solicitation, another piece that is in there just to be really mindful of is the COVID. We talk about it in the toolkit is, you know, be respectful, and I know you will be, but a lot of companies have had to cut back their funding. They've had to lay people off. And I don't tell you this to be like, you know, doom and gloom, but just be understanding of the fact that maybe in the past they've given more money and they don't have as much money to give, but maybe they have some talent that they can provide your club or your group, or maybe they know of somebody that has treasure. So I always suggest too is like, be gracious if they can't give you money. But you could say, you know, thank you so much. I'm sorry to hear that you're not able to, but do you have any ideas of other companies or other people that might fund this? You'll be surprised at how many suggestions you'll get from that, because they may actually know someone that will be able to fund what you're doing, or it'll be the next place that you ask. And to be realistic, you know, as Allie's going to talk about with Goldmine, be realistic in what you're going to ask. You know, companies tend to have, if you're going to go for a bigger gift, it's going to take longer to get. It'll maybe be, you know, it could be if it's 10,000, it could take a year. You may be able to get it in 5 months if you do a grant proposal that we maybe help you with a little bit or guide you through. But if you're getting, you know, it's realistic to ask for, a company may give you $500, $1,000, $2,000, up to $5,000. So just be realistic. And the other thing too to know is a lot of companies give their employees discretionary funds to provide to their educational partners. And so they don't even have to ask for permission. They can give you $1,000 because you asked. So don't be afraid to ask them, but be prepared. They may say no. And one of the things I like to tell people too that are new to fundraising is that if you're not getting no 50% of the time, you're not asking enough. Just think of a no as it's that the no that you're going to get and the next one's going to be a yes. Because you never, like, you want to be gracious when you hear a no. I've had stories of people that are in the corporate office dealing with nonprofits that ask them for money, and they've been giving the same amount of money to these companies, and there was a downturn in the economy, or in this nonprofits, there's a downturn in the economy, and these nonprofits got really angry with the corporate person, like, you're supposed to fund us, you've always funded us. That person got written down on a list of, we will never fund that nonprofit again. So be gracious in the way that you answer or take that no, because it will set the stage for how they may respond to other students who ask. Allie, I just saw that you came off mute. Did you want to add something?
Oh, no, not yet, Amy. Sorry.
Okay. No worries. I just wanted to make sure I didn't, you know, I was talking so fast. I didn't want to miss anything. All right. So next is stewardship. Stewardship is, you can never thank them enough. And there's so many interesting and cool ways that you can thank a donor. When I was working with Mine's Tiny House and they did a Goldmine fundraising event, they hand wrote a thank you note to me. And it may seem kind of old school, but for an older, you know, somebody that's in the generation that I was so blown away by that. I told everyone, I was like, I can't believe the students took time to handwrite me a note. Doing a thank you video when you're completing something like XL Energy, you know, we've done some thank you notes for them or video, and we send them off, and the companies can then share them, and that gets more people excited about what you're doing, and then it builds more momentum, and it's that ripple effect. And the more people you get excited, the more funding that you find. Let me see. And then updates, just make sure you're updating them about what you're doing. And I know Allie has that as a part of her Goldmine piece, but it's a really important part that if they feel connected to what you're doing, they're going to keep you in mind. If they get a little extra money from their boss or from a foundation or a bonus, or they just have extra money to give, they may just give it to you. And how amazing would that be? So I think that's all that I have for my section. Do you guys have any questions for me? All right, Donnie, do you want to add anything, or Sophia from my team? They may have some words of wisdom.
I think you covered it all. I work a lot in stewardship, and I'm actually in the phase of my job where I'm working on stewardship thank you letters. And it's amazing how just saying thank you to a donor reminds them that, oh, wow, I did something awesome. So don't ever discount how powerful thank you can be.
Thank you, Donnie.
Yeah.
Yes, awesome. Well, thank you, Amy and the corporate team for teeing that up so well. So what I'm going to cover with you guys is like, where do you start? You know, a lot of this could seem a little overwhelming. And as Amy already mentioned, they have produced a little toolkit for you. And so if you're not able to hang around and attend their breakout session, please know that we have all of your emails and we will send this out to you after the presentation. So you can start kind of working through the toolkit, but really I like to break it down into these 3 steps. So 1, identifying what your goals are. You know, if you don't even really know what you're trying to accomplish, your process in that donor cycle, the cultivation, the stewardship, the solicitation could be a little confusing to the donor as well. So first, write down how much money you need. Then write down what you're trying to accomplish. What's the end game? And try to link the 2 together. So how can funding help you accomplish your goals? The second step is identify that community. So asking everybody in your club and organization to participate in this process as well is very helpful, because then your network all of a sudden becomes 10, 20, 30 times larger than it was before. So write down all of those people, those connections that you have who could either help invest in your project or your idea, who want to see you succeed, who have a shared mission with you, and build that community of people who could not only be engaging with you and offering up advice, but who can walk along with you and invest in your ideas. And then finally, you're going to want to develop a case for support. Some people think of this as their elevator pitch. It's just a short, sweet, simple, and to the point statement that you can kind of pull out. It's like your elevator pitch when you go to interviews. It's the who, what, when, where, why, how, so that you can effectively talk about your goals and your desired outcomes. 2 questions to get you going on developing that case for support are, what will donor funding enable you to do? And then why you, right? There's so many opportunities for investment and so many opportunities for giving to charitable organizations. How can you help convince the donor that you're the right group, you're the right investment? So why you, why now, why this project? All right. So a few places to get started and a few programs that either MPC or the foundation helps oversee. So the first 2 bullet points on here, we always recommend that you start with BSO and that you start with your departments. BSO 1, you just want to make sure that you are tapping into all of the funding that you have available. Most groups, by the time they get to us, have already done this. They've already exhausted that avenue, but just as a reminder, you know, BSO does have funding available. So check with BSO. I always recommend starting with Begonia. And then your advisors in your departments. So every club and org on campus has an academic advisor, sorry, not academic, faculty or staff advisor. And they can oftentimes have really great ideas about who to pursue, what approach to take. And again, as Amy mentioned, some of the faculty here on campus are going to be able to offer up a lot of advice, especially in the corporate world, of who you could be making contacts with. But departments, I recommend you start with departments. So whatever your club and organization kind of falls under. So I think we have the dance team on, just as an example. So you would probably check with athletics. I think we also have SWE, so that would be WISM or DI&A. And just approach them and explain to them what your project is. Again, talk to them about your goals and give them that elevator pitch. Oftentimes departments have a little pool of money set aside to help student groups with their initiatives throughout the year. So those are your first two steps in pursuing funding. But then if those two avenues have been exhausted, we love working with student groups in a couple of our programs. One is the Goldmine crowdfunding. Goldmine is just like a Kickstarter or a GoFundMe, but what's nice about utilizing our platform is that there are no fees assessed on student initiatives, and it's backed by the Minds brand. And so we help you advertise, we help you solicit. I'm also your fundraising coach when you utilize Goldmine crowdfunding. So I walk hand in hand with all of our project groups throughout the year on how to go through that donor cycle. So the identification, the cultivation, solicitation, and stewardship. We've raised close to $300,000 now to date, just in the last 3 years for student clubs and orgs. So it's a very successful avenue. And I know Amy mentioned earlier, there's this huge factor looming over our heads right now called COVID. Crowdfunding is still a very effective outreach strategy because it has two things in its back pocket that make it successful. One is that community aspect, right? It's crowdfunding. So you're reaching out to the masses. So even if an ask is not great for one individual, it's probably going to resonate with another. And the other is that it's truly a marketing tool. And so I always work with my groups and I tell them, if nothing else, this is a way to market your club and your organization to the Minds community. And again, you never know where connections are going to be made. And so crowdfunding is just a great opportunity even now in COVID. So if you're interested in that, I will do a breakout session after this, or you can always reach out to me directly to learn more. I will say we are currently accepting applications for the fall term. So I can send that out to all of you guys at the end of this session. If you're interested, feel free to raise your hand or drop your email in the chat and we can get that to you. But applications are due September 30th for the fall semester. And projects will start launching as early as November 4th. So think way ahead, if you have projects or initiatives or events coming up in the spring, this is a great time to be fundraising for those. And then all final fund allocations will be made in early December. So again, let me know if you have questions about crowdfunding. And then corporate partnerships, Amy has already talked about this quite a bit, so I won't go into this too much, but the foundation is here to help you in those partnerships. Donnie is going to be your primary point of contact for that. So Donnie, if you do want to add anything to this, let me know. But we love to know who you want to work with. We probably already have an existing relationship with a lot of the companies that you have in mind. So let us know and let us help you craft that strategy with those partners. Donnie, did you want to add anything to that?
I think the only thing to add is to just keep in mind that, hypothetically, if you were to approach me and say, hey, we want to contact Lockheed, because this does happen quite a bit. What's going through my mind is how else is the university engaging with Lockheed? So I am looking at everything from kind of a comprehensive picture, macro, if you will. So yeah, just keep that in mind that when you do make these requests, I'm considering a lot of factors and when certain requests might fit into funding strategies.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. Yeah, a lot of companies work well in advance. So be patient with that process. Sometimes it's what we call a slow burn. But again, we want to help with that engagement strategy and that solicitation strategy. So if you're a senior, and you're working on this stuff, you may not see the fruits of that labor right away, but your club will certainly see the fruits of it later on.
Yeah, and that's something I usually tell the student groups I work with, is that if you're contacting a big company, this is more likely going to be strategy for next year, because most likely we've already submitted a funding request. However, I've seen a lot of success in students calling up their friends that graduated last year and went off to work at X company, and they tell them what they're working on, and it turns out they have $500 or $1,000 to support student groups. So it never hurts to ask. So definitely reach out to me if you ever just want to talk about ideas.
Awesome. Thank you, Donnie. And then philanthropy tank. So this is one of the programs that Gabby talked about a little bit in the beginning, but some key dates to be mindful of for philanthropy tank, because we are coming up on homecoming. So this is our 6th year hosting this event. As Gabby mentioned earlier, there is $10,000 up for grabs this fall. We tend to allocate that money anywhere from between 2 to 6 groups. Applications for philanthropy tank will go live early next week. We're hoping Monday, but it may be Tuesday, and then they'll be due by September 28th. The application process involves filling out a form, so details about, again, who you are, how much money you are requesting, what the general impact is. So the key with philanthropy tank is that we are looking for projects and ideas that will impact the Mines community. So, thinking about how can we improve the student experience and better the Mines campus. So in addition to that application form, there is also a requested pitch video. This is anywhere from 30 to 60 seconds. And again, it just talks about your project in just a concise format. So more information will be available on the website next week. Again, if you're interested in receiving that application information, go ahead and drop your email address again or raise your hand in the chat bar, and we will make note of that and get you information next week. But Gabby or Ryan, anything else that maybe I missed with Philanthropy Tank?
I don't think so, no.
Cool. All right, it's a really exciting program. This year we are going to be getting the entire Mines community involved in this. So again, it's a wonderful marketing opportunity for you all. We're going to be reaching out to all of our alumni, some of our parent community, parents and family of Mines, as well as faculty, staff, and students. People are going to be able to vote on their favorite projects, which will be a factor in the decision. But what's nice about that, again, even if you don't receive funding, is now thousands upon thousands of people have seen your project. And we have seen this in the past. Leadership and the administration picks up on some of these ideas, and even alumni who have a bit more capacity see these things and they invest in them. So it's a really exciting program, and I encourage you to seek out more information if you're interested. So with all of that, actually, I'm going to pause and see if anybody has questions at this point. Okay, I take it as no news is good news. So we are going to jump into COVID-related programming. All of this sounds fine and dandy, right? But as Amy mentioned, we're having to deal with all these different factors. We're in a primarily virtual world. It's difficult to host things like burrito sales on the quad, or being out on CAF Commons and being able to talk to people about what you're doing. So our teams have put our heads together about some other ways that you can be raising money in this time. Again, first and foremost, Goldmine is still a very successful vehicle for sharing your story and fundraising. So reach out again if you have questions, but I'm going to turn it over to Donnie. So you all probably heard about a $100 giveaway. So everyone who's on a call tonight is going to get a little bit of that. So I'm going to let Donnie talk to you about that program.
Yeah, so I'll be facilitating giving out the gift cards. So I think we decided, Allie, there's 4 groups. We're going to give $25 each of gift cards. Yeah, so I bought these over the summer, and I wasn't sure what denomination to buy them in. So unfortunately, you're gonna get 5 codes. They're $5 gift cards each. But I can, if you would just send, to get them, just send me an email, and I can. I'm gonna snap photos of them. They're the bookstore gift cards, but they're technically, I think it's Barnes and Noble's parent company is the parent company, so they would work at online as well. So yeah, just shoot me an email, and I can send you over those codes. All right. Did I miss anything, Allie?
No, I'm going to share a few ways that they can utilize those gift cards. But
yeah, absolutely.
And we appreciate the corporate team offering that up to these groups. So thank you guys.
Oh, our pleasure.
Cool. So yeah, each of you guys that RSVP'd for this event are going to get $25. And so a few ideas on how you can utilize that money. One is you can position it as a drawing or a giveaway for your donors this fall. So I do this often with my gold mine projects. So if you're going to pursue gold mine, this could be an idea for you. We could position it as, you know, let's say we want to target your peers, your students, to get involved and to support you. We would promote it by saying something along the lines of, as thanks for supporting us this fall, all student donors in the month of October will be entered into a drawing to win $25 to the Mines Bookstore. So you can utilize this gift as a way to motivate and incentivize people to get involved with what you're doing. You could also use those gift cards to actually go purchase things in the bookstore and then do giveaways with those items. So you could give away a t-shirt, or you could give away a hoodie, whatever you think is going to be fun and exciting and motivating for your donors to get involved. One caveat with this, I just want to note, we don't use the term raffle. In the fundraising world, that implies that people are purchasing something and getting something out of it. They're not, they're investing in you. So if you're going to do something like that, we encourage you to use the term giveaway. And if you have more questions on that, let me know. But again, utilize that money to help motivate people in your community to get involved with you this fall. And if you have more questions on that, I'm happy to walk through some ideas with you. But with that, I'm going to turn it over to Sophia, who has pulled a bunch of really cool ideas for, you know, fundraising in this virtual world. And then I believe Amy is going to talk a little bit about partnering with some local companies.
Hi, I've just got a few ideas. I've been really inspired by a lot of nonprofits that have had to totally shift their fundraising strategies, specifically around live social media fundraisers. I don't know if your student organizations do have social media accounts or not, but if they do, there are really interesting ways that you can use social media to inform your community and potential donors or corporate sponsors about your organization. So things like, you know, live movie nights where everyone watches the same movie, and you might, you know, use some funding to send everyone who signs up candy and a bag of popcorn, so there's a sense of community. Or a, you know, live stream talent show gets people involved, or maybe a live stream demonstration if there's something that your club is dedicated to, like say it's robotics, demonstrating building or fixing something. Those are all really neat ways to explain your group and make it seem more more personal. And I think Amy will talk about proceed nights, but those are also good ways to connect corporate sponsors to your group. We're always trying to think about how there's something for your group that's beneficial, and there's also something for the corporate sponsor that's beneficial to them, whether that's visibility, connecting to really talented young STEM students, actually raising money themselves through like a joint venture. There's all, you gotta think about both sides. That's all I've got.
All right. So proceeds. Many of you probably remember doing proceed things when you were maybe in middle school or high school, and like Chick-fil-A would do an evening where 5% or whatever it is would go to the school. And it's the same idea. And you can ask, you know, you can think of whatever's around the Golden area, where students tend to go. I feel like I think Sherpa House does something with Hike for something. Do you remember, Allie, what it is?
Yeah, Hike for Help. They do, I think, a couple of these nights every year. So they'll offer, you know, X% of the proceeds for a certain night to come back to the Mines Hike for Help program.
Yeah, that's right.
Small trip. Yeah.
So yeah, think about what is around the Golden area for your club and the places that you guys go, and ask them. You can pick up the phone and just ask them, do you do a fundraiser or a proceeds night? And then you just promote it and get all of your friends to go down there, and you get a portion of the funds. It's not going to be a huge amount. It's a lot of fun, and it's an easy way to kind of get some money going in. So look for opportunities that way for proceed night. And you know, the other thing too, as you were talking about corporations earlier with Donnie and all of that, we do have a list of companies that we are constantly working with. And if you aren't sure, reach out to Donnie or myself or Sophia and say, hey, do you have a contact there that I can reach out to? They would prefer to hear from you versus from us. They love when students contact them. It just makes it, they just feel like they're making such a difference in the world. So please utilize us in that aspect. There was something else that I was going to say about corporations. When it comes back to my brain, I will say it. But those are the things that just came to mind. But proceeds, look for opportunities for them to support you.
Yes. And right now, you know, talking about OreGivers, you know, time, talent, treasure, and just paying it forward, our golden restaurants could really use that support right now and that encouragement. And so we really just think this would be a great partnership with our local restaurants and with you guys. So reach out. There is a small like subsect of restaurants who, you know, kind of got together once COVID hit back in March. They're called Be Golden. I believe you can find them on the Golden City Chamber of Commerce website. But this is a group of restaurants who got together in March to support one another and figure out how they can, you know, keep their businesses alive. But that is a really great group to reach out to see how you can also foster some collaboration and work on some proceeds nights. And in that process, you know, getting some foot traffic into those restaurants as well.
Perfect. I thought of what it was that I was going to mention before. Just not only the restaurants in the Golden area, but look at the banks that people go to that you use. They love to get in front of students. So they will, like Wells Fargo, you know, I think you can usually submit a proposal to them, or Belco or Bank of the West. It may be $500 for something, you know, and that, but it may not be a huge amount of money, but they want to support you. So look for businesses that are trying to get students' business and make an ask, and look on their website, because they will either have corporate social responsibility as one of the things that they have, like a grant process. I think Belco has it. And all you need to do is give them a 6-week notice, and it is a simple form, and you could have $500. So maybe your club, if you have somebody that's willing to do fundraising for it, that just spends a little bit of time going on the websites of the companies in Golden and just looking for the contact one or two if they have a simple form to get donations or any of that. Sorry, my cat, I'm going to show you my cat. My cat just decided that this is where it's at. So she wanted to be seen.
She needs to be present, Amy.
Yes.
Attention. No, I love that. Thank you. And then one last note with the proceeds nights, you know, sometimes those restaurants or companies will cut you a check. And again, this goes back to our relationship with the university. Make sure they're writing that check out to the Mines Foundation, and they can make a note that it's for your club. But that way we can get it processed and deposited into the right account. Okay, so with that, there's some contact information up here. Again, we have all of your email addresses now at this point, and so we will send out some of these toolkits, this slide deck, a link to the recording next week when it's available.
And
so
Allie,
you-
my email address is wrong. I just realized that. So I'm going to
Yeah.
add it in the chat.
Thank you. So feel free to reach out to us at any point about any of those programs. We are happy to collaborate with you and just think through what your strategy is. You know, one of you may be interested in corporate outreach and the other may be interested in philanthropy tank or goldmine. We can work with you on all of that. Shameless plug because I'm the co-advisor for MPC, but we are growing, we are expanding, and we would love for you to join us. So we have some exact positions open. If any of this programming sounds interesting to you, feel free to reach out. We can meet with you. We do meet every other Tuesday. Next week is our off week, but we could get you connected. Okay, so with that, we've got some time this evening to help you all think through your strategies. And it's a small group this evening, so we can also do just a large breakout room and cover all of these topics and just address your questions individually. But we do have breakout room 1 is philanthropy tank, and Gabby and Ryan can talk to you a little bit more about that program. Breakout room 2 would be Amy, Donnie, and Sophia, and they can talk to you more about that corporate strategy.
And Miss Millie.
Hi, Miss Millie, sorry. And some of those strategies that Sophia and Amy had talked about, you know, raising money in the time of COVID. And then I'm gonna be in breakout room 3 for goldmine. But really quickly, I did want to ask Hannah and Taryn, is there anything in particular that you ladies are interested in learning more about?
I don't think I have anything in particular. I have a little bit of experience with like goldmine crowdfunding from past projects, but thank you for all this information. This has been super interesting, and I appreciate all the resources and contacts for sure.
Of course, yeah, anytime. Hannah, what about you? What are some of your needs with Minds Without Borders? I know I have worked with you all on that project before through Goldmine, but just curious to know where your head's at.
Yeah, so this is going to be my second year on the project. I'm one of the outreach, education, and fundraising leads, but I've never actually done the fundraising part.
Mm-hmm.
We are in phase 2 of our project, which is the installation of a pipe network to provide water directly homes to this community in Los Gomez. And we've spent the year, you know, improving the design of that and assessing, you know, the terrain and soil. And you know, so we had this plan and we wanted to travel, well, not me in particular, but we wanted to implement our solution. But I don't think the university is currently allowing student travel. So
Right.
I'm here because we want to do remote implementation. We want to hire an engineer to do that for us.
Got it. Amy, any insights on that? Like, you know, how, I'm just trying to think through, because Goldmine has always been tricky, because our directive is always to fundraise for our students, right? For our students to go experience those things and to be the ones who have the boots on the ground. But I love the creativity, Hannah, that you guys are working with just to make that project happen. And I'm curious to know too, from your side, Hannah, are you all still going to be involved in the process with whoever you hire? And is it going to be a local company that you hire out in Los Gomez, or is it somebody here, maybe stateside?
I actually don't know that we have decided that yet.
You know, in thinking, I was like, oh God, we have such a hard time funding travel for students to begin with. I don't know why it is just a challenge.
Mm-hmm.
But so especially with the school, I mean, we can't have anybody on campus and we can't go anywhere kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Staff wise, what I think of, and I think students probably as well, I think you can use COVID and share, you know, we wanted to be able to travel, but we're not able to. And now we need to hire someone. Helping an economy in another country hire help is a message in and of itself, and paying it back and being philanthropic as a student. So I think you could use that messaging as part of your kind of appeal. Does that make sense?
It does. Sorry, I'm writing all of this down. You've just such good information all night. This is all new to me.
Well, we're here to be helpful, and we may, hopefully we didn't overwhelm you, but honestly, we just get excited about helping you guys, because seriously, it's amazing to me. You guys are such amazing students. And I say this because I've seen this time and time again. Student groups have not had to fundraise before, but you get creative and you come together as a team and you find it in yourself to do it, and you do well. And it's interesting because then you end up using these skills when you're out in the workplace and you're having to do business development, or you're having to ask for support or ask to help your company's business expand. You're using these skills, you're learning these skills now. And I think it's fun. So hopefully we didn't overwhelm you with all of our information and enthusiasm.
Thank you so much.
Of course, Hannah. And, just keep us posted too, just as projects develop. And I mean, Taryn, the same goes for you all, because part of the fundraising process is that things just change too. And so we need to be able to pivot with you all. But yeah, Hannah, loop back with me, because the other thing I also want to do, related to that stewardship piece, right? The thanking your donors and reporting back, whether we pursue an active fundraising project this fall or not, we still want to report back to those donors from last year and just let them know what's been going on. I think we reported back really quickly back in March when the travel ban was put in place. But I don't think some of those donors have heard from you guys in a while. And so part of fostering those relationships and keeping people engaged is to just let them know where you're at and what some of these plans are. And then again, as Amy mentioned earlier, some of that information could inspire one of those donors to offer up suggestions, or maybe somebody works for a company that could assist with that implementation because maybe they can travel. So you just never know what those connections are going to do. So that's my recommendation. I'm trying to remember who I worked with last year on that project. It was so long ago. But I'm happy to work with you, Hannah, on messaging out to those donors. I can teach you how to do that through the platform.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Even if you feel like you don't have a plan right now or a specific project to solicit for, just making your group a consistent part of the company's culture of giving, of communicating with, that they kind of expect that you're going to be there, that you're going to talk to them, that they know what's going on, that you have a kind of long-lasting relationship, goes a really long way in years that have a little bit more capital available for funding.
Yeah.
And now I will mute myself because my puppy cannot understand that it is himself in the mirror and not
He wants another dog. Have you guys heard of there's a saying out there, there's the 6 degrees of separation. I think it came from like Kevin Bacon or something like that. Have you guys heard that word or those words before?
I have heard that.
All right. So the way to kind of look at it is you never know how many, you may only be 1 or 2 degrees of separation away from somebody that can help you. It may not be that first person that you made the connection with, but it may ripple to another person who then inspires another person to give. So it's kind of one of those things you think about. You never know how far 6 degrees of separation or less to somebody that's going to help you. So I say that because you never know where it's going to come from, and it may take a few different people or different levels. But the more people you share your story with and your enthusiasm, and one thing to do too, just like what Sophia and Allie said, just give them an update, like the people that have supported in the past, and tell them the challenge that you have right now and one of the solutions you think you may have and that you need some support in. You may be surprised at what they will come back with. They may blow you away with their either knowledge, connections, or money.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Taryn and Hannah, we are here to help you and to answer your questions. So anything else that's just kind of, you know, scratching away in your brain, anything that we can help you think through?
I'm not sure that I have anything else specific right now, but you've given me a lot to think about this evening, so thank you for that.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Perfect. Well, we're so happy that you could join us this evening. And again, hopefully it wasn't overwhelming information, but we will, as we mentioned, send this slide deck out to you, the toolkit that Amy mentioned earlier, as well as just some links and application forms. So when you are ready to pursue some of these programs, just reach out. We are happy to help. And Hannah, again, not to keep picking on you, but I would love to connect with you guys again and figure out some of that stewardship with last year's donors. So let me know when you're ready for that.
Absolutely, thank you.
Yeah, well, Gabby, I will let you close it out and, you know, any final parting words. But thank you all for hosting us and letting us be a part of the night.
Thank you all for joining. It was really great to be able to meet with all of you.
Awesome. Thanks, MPC, and thanks, Foundation staff. Have a good night.
Bye, thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.